Okay, it's 6:30, so we're going to get started. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Streetlight Committee of Community Board 8. My name is Abraham Salcido, and I chair this committee. A few rules of the road for today. I'm going to go down the list and invite the applicant for each item to go on mute to tell us their name and a little bit about their application. I will then inquire if there are any members of the public that would like to speak to that particular application. And then I will go to my fellow committee members for any questions, comments, or resolutions. A reminder that any action taken by the committee here will be voted on and taken up at the full board meeting on Wednesday. I think the date is correct. One moment. Wednesday the 17th at the full board meeting. And the full board will vote on there. A few other rules is each applicant and everyone should voice any questions, comments directly to me, the chair. I'd like to avoid any crosstalk between applicants and questioners. I'm going to ask everyone to please abide by the rules of decorum. While everyone has differing views and opinions, let's be respectful of everyone here. Okay, so with that, I will hand over to Robert for our technical rules of the road.
Sure, thank you, Abraham. Welcome. If this is your first time joining us, everyone will remain muted throughout the meeting except the committee chair, Abraham, and the presenters. Following the presentation, Abraham will call members of the public wishing to speak. You can participate by going to the reactions icon, pressing raise hand, not the wave or the thumbs up. Only press it once. If you press it a second time, your hand will go back down. If you're on the phone, it is *9 to raise your hand and *6 to unmute. Please be on the lookout for a prompt asking you to confirm unmuting once the chair calls on you. The chat is for technical support only to help with Zoom software problems. It's not to ask questions of the chair or the presenters. They will not see these chats. If you have an older version of Zoom, you will need to go to participants. You will need to go to the participants section where you'll find the raise hand feature there. Please do not raise your actual hand or wave at the screen because we may not be able to see you. Chat me, I'm here for support. Abraham, back to you.
Great. Thank you, Robert. Before we get started, I just want to make sure I have the right tally of committee members. I have myself, Valerie, Bill, Marco. I also see Kaz and Judy. I think that is all. Good. So with that, I will start with the first item on the agenda. Do I have the applicant representative for item 1A? That's Jethal LLC, DBA the East Pole.
Yes. Yes.
Hi.
Hey, how you doing? Good.
Good. Tell us a little bit about your application.
I own the East Pole now. I'm just my brother and I are just doing some corporate changes in our company. So we're just changing the corporate entity for sort of organizational purposes that owns the East Pole. So same everything. We've been business for 10 years now, and we're simply just changing corporations.
Okay, great. So there'll be no other changes to the method of operation?
Zero.
No changes to the space either?
None.
Okay, great. Just for the record, the existing hours of operation are Monday through Thursday, 12 p.m. to 12 a.m. and then Friday, Sunday, 10 a.m. to 12 midnight. Food drink ratio of 70% food, 30% drink. Okay, so first I'll inquire whether there's any members of the public on this item. And seeing none, I will go to committee member Marco Tamayo.
Thank you, Abraham. I would like to put a motion. The motion is to approve as presented. Thank you. Is anybody can second?
I'm happy to second. And I think Bill was seconding. Kaz?
Yeah, is there any structure on the sidewalk?
No,
Okay, no illegal structures?
no.
Okay, thank you.
Great. Judy?
Yeah, I'm not familiar with this restaurant. What kind of food do you have?
Modern New American.
What does that mean? Could you be a little more specific?
Yeah, it basically, yeah, it's elevated home cooking. So you have your, the menu is split between basically vegetarian, fish, and meat. Everything from pork chops to halibut, to a couple of vegetarian plates. I mean, just sort of elevated home cooking is what
Okay.
I would say.
Okay, thank you. Welcome to the neighborhood.
Well, been here for about 10 years. I'd love to have you by.
Okay, I don't think I've seen your restaurant, so I'll look for it.
Love to have you.
Marco?
I would like to call the question.
Okay, great. Great. Oh, perfect. Okay. Does anyone oppose calling the question? I've seen some thumbs up, some seconds to the calling, but okay, no objections here. Okay, so if there are no objections, I'm going to go to the roll. This is a motion to approve as presented. If anyone's voting no, not voting for cause, or abstaining, please give me a sign or I will have you marked as a yes for this approval. No, not voting for cause or abstaining. Okay, seeing none, then this will go as an approval. Thank you very much, Tom, and continued good luck.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Would love the
Thanks.
neighborhood. Thank you so much.
Have a good evening.
Abraham, I just want to flag that Mrs. Brown joined us. I'm not sure if
Okay.
I'm not sure if she's voting on that application or not.
Let's inquire. Mrs. Brown,
I am voting on it.
you are voting on the poll. Are you in support of the motion to approve?
Yes, I am.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Okay, great. Moving to item 2, do I have the representative for L&D Colombian Food Services? Yes, I'm seeing Luis waving his hand.
Thank you. I couldn't unmute. It says the host had to unmute me. Good evening, everyone. I'm Louis C. Rodriguez, attorney in Hempstead for Ms. Diana Carrillos, who's proposing a Colombian-style restaurant at 1007 Lexington Avenue. It's a small restaurant. Previously was a restaurant. Monday through Thursday, I was operation from 11 in the morning to 11 in the evening. Friday, Saturday from 11 a.m. to midnight. Sunday from 11 to 10 in the evening. She has extensive experience. She's had a restaurant, Colombian-style restaurant in Valley Stream for 13 years. She is the young lady who sits behind me. She wanted to come in person to be, present. We are doing some renovations. We've submitted our plans with, just bear with me, to Landmark already. We've already received some comments, and our architect is reviewing them, getting back to them, the Landmark Preservation Commission. So we're hoping that everything goes well with the renovations, the kitchen, installing new equipment in the kitchen, new hood, as well as reinstalling a bar in the restaurant, which was there many years ago. But I believe during the last tenant, it was either some form of sushi restaurant, which they removed it. So we are going to reinstall that. The total square footage of the dining area is approximately 540 square feet. Occupancy is approximately 50 people. We are going to have delivery. We're going to hopefully contract with Uber Eats and those types of services available. We are going to possibly hire 2-3 individuals as well of our own to deliver, possibly with bicycles. We We've gone over the regulations and what we have to be responsible for with Diana. And we are seeking an on-premises liquor license, beer, and wine, as well as a temporary license, as the State Liquor Authority right now is taking approximately 9 to 12 months for a final approval on the main application, obviously with your permission, obviously.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
First I'll inquire if there's any members of the public with questions or comments on this application. Seeing none, then I will go to committee member Judy Schneider.
Sorry, I missed. Why did you say it was taking 9 to 10 months for approval of this application? Does it have something to do with landmarks, or is it our
No,
committee?
No, it's the New York State Liquor Authority is taking that long. So once we submit our application, it's taking that long. I do this extensively, and I've just been waiting so long for them. I have one right now. It's going almost on 12 months now. So that's why I'm hoping that you'll be able to approve the temporary as well.
Abraham.
Yes.
After the meeting is over, I would like to discuss this issue on the State Liquor Authority under new old business. Okay, I won't do it now.
Okay. Thank you, Judy. Cause?
Yeah, again, my question, is there any structure on the sidewalk?
No, sir.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Valerie, then Mrs. Brown.
Thank you. Can you just, what is the cross street? I couldn't get exactly the.
It's Lexington Avenue between East 72nd and East 73rd.
Oh, okay. Is that where the fire was?
I don't recall there being a fire at the premises. I'm sorry.
Okay, there was a fire a couple of weeks ago. Sorry. Well, that's good. Sorry. Well, good luck. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Mrs. Brown.
Yes, Mr. Chair, would you please remind the applicants to let us know if they're ADA compliant, if they, how long they've been in business, if there's any backyard seating, etc. Now, with regard to the structure, he said he does not have a shed or a structure outside, and he's not going to put one outside. Is that correct? Did I understand that correctly?
That is correct.
Okay. And that's my only concern, is ADA compliant. And
Great. So I'm looking at the plan that was drawn up by the architect. What I do see is the bathroom is approximately 4 feet 1 inch by 5 feet 9 inches. It does have handrails in it, and provided that the building department approves it, I think we're okay. But obviously, building department will have to take a look, make sure we are within the confines of the ADA. There is very little room to expand it out, but obviously, building department we will work with the building department to see if what we can do.
Okay, thank you.
is there any backyard seating, or?
No, there is not.
Is not. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Marco.
Oh, thank you. I would like to put a motion. The motion is to approve as presented and then to speak. Is anybody can second this application?
I'm happy to second, and so is Judy.
Okay. Okay. The only thing that I had to say is you has been involved with landmarks, and therefore you have a professional involved in this application. 1. 2, I would like to put as a motion, as a stipulation that the project must be approved by DOB and landmarks I have another question. Why you go to Landmarks? Are you doing something outside of the restaurant?
No, all interior work.
Oh,
just
so basically, I'm sorry to interrupt. Basically, you going for letter of no
objection.
no. This is it's a certificate from DOB. When it's interior, you don't have to do any procedures, anything at all. It's just going straight forward. This is a procedure that you must follow. But the only concern that I have is, well, the dimension that you just give me, you create that trouble. DOB never can approve that, believe me. So you better correct that. That's the dimension that is not appropriate for a handicap. So as long as you are in agreement that you're going to file in DOV, and I think it's perfectly fine.
Yes, sir. We're waiting for Landmark to release us, and then we're going on to DOB.
Okay. So with that stipulation, they will be fine to recommend the approval.
Okay, great. Thank you, Marco. At least you're comfortable with that, the approval being conditional on
Yes.
the DOB and the landmarks coming through?
Yes, sir. We're
Okay.
we're working on it already. Thank you.
Okay, great. Judy?
Call the question.
Great. All in favor? I see some hands. Is anyone opposed to calling the question? Okay, seeing none. With that, I will go to the roll. So if anyone's voting no, not voting for cause or abstaining, give me a sign. Otherwise, you will go down as an approval. Voting no, not voting for cause or abstaining. Okay, seeing none, this will go as an approval. Thank you very much, Luis. Good luck on this establishment to Deanna as well. So thank you very much. Okay, moving on to the next item. Do I have the representative for item 1C, Hudson Petit Parisien? Oh, Mr. Kelly.
Good evening. Athanasios is with me. Pitsionis, otherwise known as Sakis, if you want to unmute him. This is a wine and beer application for LPP Hudson LLC, doing business as La Petite Parisien. We're located at 355, 357 East 78th Street, between 1st and 2nd Avenues. We have been open and operating since September of 2022. The former occupant, Mason Bangkok / Iron Sushi, had a wine and beer license there from 2004 to 2018. Sakis is serving French bistro, authentic French sandwiches, quiches, egg dishes, soup, salads. The operating hours are 7:30 a.m. to 10 p.m. We have 10 tables with 45 seats and a 7-seat counter bar inside. There's no backyard. We are wheelchair accessible. We do third-party delivery. There's only background music. We have 4 tables with 8 seats on the sidewalk. There's no structure on the sidewalk. There's none in the street. We're operating that under the open restaurant seating program. Sakis currently has 3 other locations in the city: 32 East 7th Street, 151 Malcolm X Boulevard, and 170 Amsterdam Avenue, which just opened, all of which are loved by the community they serve. And if there's any questions, we'll be happy to answer.
Thank you, Mr. Kelly. I appreciate the efficiency. Any 311 complaints or any others that you're aware of?
I couldn't find anyone ever.
Okay, good. Then in that case, I'll first go if there's any members of the public on this application. Seeing none, I will go to committee member Cos Bagnoletti.
Yes, since he answered the question, I'll move to approve this application.
Okay, second, Mrs. Brown. I see another second by Bill and Judy.
Call the question, please.
Okay, great. All in favor of calling a question? I see some thumbs. Anyone opposed to calling a question? Okay, seeing none, with that, I will go to the roll. So if anyone's voting no, not voting for cause or abstaining on this application, please give me an indicator. Voting no, not voting for cause or abstaining. Seeing none, this will go as a 7-0 approval. Thank you very much, Mr. Kelly. Have a good
Thank
evening.
you.
everybody.
Have a good evening, everyone.
Likewise. Okay, moving along to item 2A. So we're now into the category of 30-day waivers. So 2A, this is GTM Restaurant, DBA Quatorze. Do I have the representative or the applicant for Quatorze? I do. I'm seeing KBMCG.
Good evening.
Hi,
My name is my name is Kevin McGrath. I do have with me one of the partners, Alex McNeese, is also here. Asking for a waiver. There was a renewal application that wasn't timely submitted. We have actually had it approved already, but I was asked to come before this committee. This is located on First Avenue, 1578 First Avenue, between the 82nd and 83rd Street, on the east side of the street. It's on the corner of 82nd Street. It has an outside seating on the north side of 82nd Street. There's nothing on First Avenue. On the first floor, we have 18 tables. We have a capacity to have 66 people. We have a facility downstairs, which has 5 tables and a capacity of 30 people. It's ADA compliant, and both on the entrance and for the other facilities. Our hours are 12 p.m. to 11 p.m. On Monday through Thursday, as well as Friday and Saturday. Actually, on 7 days a week, we're open from 12 noon to 11 a.m. We have no complaints against the premises, and we're just asking for the waiver.
Okay, great. Thank you, Kevin. I will inquire if there's any members of the public on this application. If not, I will go to Marco Tamayo.
Thank you. I would like to put a motion. The motion is to approve as presented. And I know very well this restaurant is very clean, very nice. The tables are very limited, as very adjacent to the building. I think it means they are reasonable in the way that they operate. And it basically is a restaurant. It's nothing more than that. And that's what I strongly support. Is anybody can second?
Yep, you have a second. Okay, great. So then I will go to Mrs. Brown.
Please call the question.
Okay, will do. All in favor of calling the question? I see some thumbs. Any opposed to calling the question? Okay. Okay, going to the roll. If anyone's voting no, not voting for cause, or abstaining, let me know. Otherwise, it'll go down as a yes. Anyone voting no, not voting for cause, or abstaining? Okay, seeing none, Mr. McGrath, this goes in approval. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Paul.
Great. Okay, so now I will go to the agenda item for 2B, Cafe Luca. Do I have a representative or applicant for Cafe Luca?
Hi, this is Marcos Cotobatres. We have with us also Mark Bash. I believe he is the gentleman on iPhone 2. I don't know if you could see him there. If you can also unmute him, that'd be great. By way of introduction, this is a request for a waiver of the 30-day notice for Cafe Luca, or 1317 Restaurant Co. LLC, DBA Cafe Luca. The reason for the request is that we've seen an uptick in mail fraud, I believe, and mail going missing in the area. And so that renewal notice didn't come in on time. And so when we figured that out, we had to rush to kind of put together the renewal application once the license had lapsed. And so in order to get the the applicant to serve and be able to serve its community to its fullest capacity, we're requesting that waiver. To the extent that Mark may want to give you information about his internal, seating and that stuff, I'll let him do that. And I'll just mute myself.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, everybody. Good evening. My brother and I, John, have been serving the community for 20 plus years. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Neighborhood, as we call it, an oasis. Families, all sorts of people from the hospitals, whatnot, trying to take care of people and just treat people right in the neighborhood, being the good guys. And we would appreciate, this consideration.
Yes,
Thank
you very much. Okay, with that, I will inquire if there's any members of the public on this application for the 30-day waiver. Okay, seeing none, I will go to Judy first.
I make a move to approve this. They've been in the community, as he said, for many years and been a place that all the neighbors go to all the time. No reason not to approve.
Great, thank you. I'm seeing several nods and indications of support. Marco.
I would like to call the question.
Okay, great. Okay, I'm seeing thumbs up, more thumbs up. Okay, anyone opposed to calling the question? Okay, seeing none, then I will go to the roll here. So there's a motion to approve. If anyone's voting no, not voting for cause or abstaining, give me a sign. Otherwise, this will go as a 7-0 unanimous approval. Okay, great. Well, thank you very much. And we're glad to have you in the neighborhood and continued good luck.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, great. So we have a couple of items of old business, old business. I'll let Judy go first with your item on the SLA, and then I want to then revisit one from last month regarding the enforcement of the open dining and propose something there.
Yeah, I don't know what we as a committee, if we can pass a resolution, if we want to go to the community board, but I think it would be great if the community board wrote a letter to Liz Kruger, Rebecca Seawright, and Alex Boris, our state representatives, and asked them to do something about the state liquor authority. We had one place that lasted, it was over a year on 2nd Avenue before he got his license. I mean, business is hard enough and we have enough empties. I think we need to start putting pressure on our electeds that they have to do something, that the liquor authority needs to act faster, or whatever the problem is. They need to hire people. I don't know what the problem is, but I think we need to do something. So any suggestions from fellow board members are greatly appreciated.
So the current fix that the SLA has is this temporary license process where until they're able to get the full application approved by SLA, that they come and we approve the temporary until that full license is through.
But that's great for somebody who's in business. But if you have a new guy who's waiting a year or moved to a new place, he had a license and he moved a half a block down and he's waiting because it's a new location, new license, and waits a year for a liquor license and is paying rent all that time. That's just not the way it should be done. We need to put some pressure on our electeds through the community board that they need to do something about the liquor authority.
Agreed. Cause?
Yeah, several years ago, Liz Kruger and I'm not sure who it was from CB8 had a meeting with the SLA about certain things, and they promised then that they were going to speed it up. And even last year or the year before, they said that it should take no more than 6 to 9 months. If a person has a license, they have their fingerprints, they've done their background checks, they've done everything. Why does it take 12 months? It is absolute stupidity on the SLA. I just cannot believe that they take 12 months to go through something that they've already had on the previous applicant. So, I mean, I think we should bring Liz Kruger back into this and get it over and done with. And I thought the SLA promised that it would be 6 to 9 months now, not 12. And, you know, I've just got a feeling the lawyers have gotten into this, because every time the SLA will give you a temporary for 3 months, then it's a month, then it's a monthly or 3 monthly extension. And the lawyers file out one sheet of paper, we submit an extension, and they charge the applicant, you know, money for nothing. We've got to do something. This is absolutely, I don't know. It's going back to the dark ages.
Yeah. One update on the new on-premise applications are now also eligible for the temporary permit process. So it's not only existings or renewals.
Yeah, but what, brand new people who are in a new location?
Yes.
Okay, well, that didn't happen with our guy on 2nd Avenue. He had to wait a year. He just got his license.
Okay, I'm seeing Mr. McGrath waving his hand.
And I also have one other issue when we get done with this issue.
Okay. Valerie, as a committee member, I'm going to let you speak first, and then I'm happy to let Mr. McGrath. Oh, go to Mr. McGrath. Okay. Go ahead, Mr. McGrath.
Thank you. I just want to advise you that, and Judith pointed it out, if you're not entitled to a temporary license, if the premises that you're applying for has not had a license within the period of 1 year. So the statute specifically excludes a new person coming in to a new space. He cannot, or she cannot, or they cannot get a new license, and a new temporary license.
Yeah, that's what happened. The fellow moved down halfway down the block, and it was a place that never had a liquor license. It was an antique store.
Okay, that explains that. Got it.
Yeah, I mean, and even some people who do have licenses, as Kaz said, they move somewhere else, they open something else. It just takes forever. I mean, there's something wrong with the state liquor authority. We need to put some pressure on them.
Okay.
Yeah,
Valerie?
Thank you. I mean, I remember what Kaz was saying. We had somebody from the SLA in like even right before COVID, and they were saying how they were backed up, but they were gonna improve. But to Judy's point, and I mean, just wearing my hat as the co-chair for small business, we don't want people not to open a restaurant because they think it's gonna, you know, they won't get their license in time, and paying all that rent. It's just counterproductive. So I agree. I think we should write or urge somebody to write a letter and get Liz and Alex on the case.
And
okay.
Rebecca.
Yeah. So then I guess to that end, do we want to ask Russell on behalf of the community board to send a letter to our state electeds, or do we want to pass a resolution here that calls on the SLA to kind of get their act together, put more resources to shorten the window for approvals so that they are not frustrating applicants that are not eligible for these the temporary permits, et cetera?
I think we should do both.
I think we should write a letter, have Russell write a letter, but I think he should be, as we do in this case, particularly send it to all the state representatives. So, and then maybe Abraham, you can even call them and follow up a couple of weeks later after they've gotten the letter.
Okay. I also heard cause to do both. So do we want to make a motion for a resolution to that effect, and then that can be included with the letter that goes out? Okay. Mrs. Brown, would you like to add?
I just wanted to concur.
Okay, wonderful. Okay, so with that, I will draft up in the minutes a proposed resolution which calls on the SLA to take the steps necessary to expedite the time it takes for approvers of licenses, so that it's not negatively impact new applicants or dissuade new applicants for licenses coming into our or seeking applications, and does not seek to hurt small businesses or individuals or applicants that are not eligible for the temporary permit program.
Yeah, Abraham, on there, I think we should also have that if somebody already has a license and the SLA has their personal information and fingerprint and all that, why 12 months? That should be speeded up too. Sped up, sorry.
Okay. Thank you very much. I will do that and circulate it to this group so we have any inputs. Okay, good.
I said I had a second
Yes.
thing, and this includes you and Robert and Will and everybody in the office, and not just your committee, but landmarks, full board, anybody who comes before the community board that has to post a notice in the neighborhood, they should have to remove the notices. I've started going out now and walking around now. And whenever I say to Barry, oh, I'll be gone for 5 minutes, I'm gone for a half hour because I'm taking things off lampposts that have been there forever. Robert, I don't know if you have a conversation with any of these people that come before us, or you tell them, or how you tell them, but I think we have to be more emphatic as a community board that they have a responsibility to remove their notices from public posting after the meeting is over.
I like that.
Speaking from my own perspective, Judy, I don't have any conversations with them after to take down the postings as of now.
Well, do we specify to them when we send out our papers and they fill out all these forms, and in big bold print, is there, we say they have to post, do we say they must remove the postings?
We send out,
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
go ahead, Abraham, I apologize.
Oh, no, I just saw Will come off mute, so I didn't know. I assumed he had.
No, this is Robert. Robert is the one who sends the email, and Robert is the one who looks at the instructions applicant document every month. I am not the expert, so I'm going to hand it over to Robert. But I'm here, and I will weigh in as I feel that my insight is useful.
So I can pull up the document that we have on our website, which is the instructions to applicants, if you guys want to see what we send out to the applicants.
I'll pop it in the chat for everybody. But if you go to the forms section on our website, you'll be able to find it there.
Yep.
That's not it.
So you'll notice, obviously, as you look at this document is from pre-COVID. It asks for them to bring materials on certain size papers. Obviously, now at this point, we have them email them to us. They get posted online where those are necessary. They get sent to the board members where board members get it. But if you'll scroll down to page 2, you'll notice that it says, posting and distribution of public notice flyers for maximum public notice, blah, 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 blah. Post before this date. Here's how many flyers. Here's where you should post. So if you're on page 2, item B, number 7, after the meeting is held, take down the posted flyers. Question for you, Robert. In the email you send inviting the applicant, I know we talked about making it a little bit more explicit what the instructions are for the flyers. how many, and so that I think most of the applicants have left the room. Robert spends a lot of time clarifying a lot of things to applicants who don't really like to read paperwork. I don't think I'm breaking any news here if I say bar owners may not be the most paperwork oriented of individuals. So Robert, I know we talked about how you were going to add some language into your invite email. Have we started adding that in yet? Or if not, can we make sure that when we add that language in, that's a little bit more clarifying that the flyer is attached to the email that we send and the instructions are attached to the email that we send, that we also include language about B number 7, to take down the flyers.
Yeah, I mean, there's been some confusion, as Will said, from applicants on how many flyers need to be posted. So I was going to add to the email invites that it must be 12 flyers posted, and I can definitely add phrasing of how we ask our applicants to take them down as well.
Well, I think that what you wrote there was, from what I read, was fine, except for if I was writing that on the second page and I got to number 7, it would be in very bold print and twice the size of the print that you have on that page. So that if anyone just turns to the second page, let alone doesn't read it, and they see something in such large print and very bold, I think they would take a look at what that sentence says. That's.
I think there's another element that I can do here is, so Robert, thank you and Will for all the work that you do, and thank you for updating or seeking to update the email that you send out saying that they should take down the flyers afterwards. One thing I can add to my blurb at the beginning of every meeting as a reminder, and which I will do, is to tell each applicant or remind each applicant that thank you for coming to the meeting. Now that you're here, please remember to take down your posted flyers in accordance with the instructions. Just another reminder so that it's kind of top of mind, and if they don't like reading the paperwork, then I can tell them verbally at the start of every meeting.
I think that's terrific, Abraham, and thank you very much, Rob and Will, for all the work you do. I didn't mean to attack what you were doing. I was just telling you from a community member who is removing all of these things that it gets very frustrating. But I think you guys do a terrific job, and I wanted to say thank you.
Neither of us felt attacked. We want to collaborate with each of the committees we work with on how we do their business for them, and this is always productive to have these types of conversations. So no attack felt. This was wonderful.
Great. And Judy, thank you for taking your time to go around and help maintain the integrity of our neighborhood and taking those flyers down. Okay. So with that, I see a couple hands. I will go to Cause, then Mrs. Brown, and then Valerie, and then take up my other item.
This is a bigger issue, but as far as the street life, we have on the agenda that the applicant will abide by the bicycle guidelines, provide contacts, whatever it is. Number 4, the applicant will abide by the applicable COVID-19. That should come out. Why don't we put it on there that the flyers will be removed after the meeting? And then that will cover our committee. And that's one thing that they stipulate. And if they don't, then we can take it upon for other things.
We can do that. I mean, it'll be a little bit after the fact if we want to go back and take action on it. But yeah, I'm okay adding that as an item. And yes, I think I'm also happy to go through and revisit the instructions and update it.
Yeah.
So okay. Thanks, guys. Happy with that. Mrs. Brown.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. What I was going to recommend after we vote on the application, I was going to recommend that you remind the applicant of that specific rule and ask, when will they be taking down the sign after the meeting? Is it going to be that particular evening or the next day? And that way we have them on tape committing to the time that it's going to be taken down.
Yeah, I think that's good. I think we could even do that, so we have a window that they need to take it down, once they're approved, and they have until the full board meeting, because that's when we get to potentially see them again. To say that they must have those flyers down before the full board meeting, or we will recommend a different course of action at the full board meeting, if that's how we want to approach it.
Absolutely.
Okay. Valerie.
Thank you. Yeah, I was going to ask you, Abraham, about the fact that you might want to keep them up till the full board meeting in case somebody has something to say that they didn't make it to our meeting here. But I was curious whether we have the ability to fine somebody for not taking them down. No, Will is shaking his head.
No, they're technically government notices, so
okay.
no government notices can result in fines.
Okay, because I'm like Judy, I'm constantly taking not that ones down for street life, but landmarks. Those get left up all the time. So maybe that's a good point to bring up for the landmarks committee too, to remind people to take them down as well. So thank you.
I think that's right.
Okay, well, thank you everyone for that, very helpful. And so I have one item, which is a carryover or picking up from last month, where CAUS had wanted to address the sidewalk structures that are oftentimes are not in compliance with the clearance regulations, etc. And I'd like to put on the table a resolution that we put forth a resolution calling on DOT to provide better enforcement of those sidewalk structures, so that there are clearance and we don't have these big kind of monstrous beds on the sidewalk, which can, especially now that the weather's getting nicer, spring, summer, there's going to be more people out, strollers, and without the clearance, I think it's unfair that our sidewalks are being kind of encroached upon by these structures. So that would be my suggestion, but I'm happy to open the floor for dialogue on these and see if we do in fact want to make a motion for resolution on this topic. Mrs. Brown.
Thank you. My concern, the issue that I had raised the last meeting, is I am of the understanding that these structures are supposed to be removed. And if so, when are they going to be removed? By what date? I mean, what is the enforcement of this? And that was the question that I had posed. And with my understanding, that's what was going to be addressed. So I'm a little confused. Can you clarify that for me, please? Thank you.
I don't know if there, I'm seeing CAUS. CAUS, would you like to further on this?
Yeah, these things were supposed to have, or the open restaurants were supposed to have ended last year in September, October, November. Then there was a suit from a committee downtown, and it's been extended. Not so much extended, but it's been a free-for-all from the start. I have noticed some structures on the street that the DOT or DSNY has taken down. But the text amendment that was sent to us or presented to us stated that there were no new sidewalk enclosures. It was a status quo. The grandfather was going to be in, and absolutely no new sidewalk structures. That never happened. Everybody built on the sidewalk, some even 2 or 3 foot clearance. Over the years, I noticed DOT inspectors taking measurements, and that was 3-4 years ago, and the structures are still there. So DOT has not done anything. They put out the guidelines and then they ignored them themselves. So we've got to do something about the sidewalk. The street is another matter, but the sidewalk structures have to go, and we've got to do something about it.
Absolutely.
And also DOT, every time we ask them about structures, oh, give us an address. That's absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, no, agreed. I think we should at least have something on the record so that we're showing that, you know, that this needs to be brought to their, well, that continues to be brought to their attention and requires action. So any other comments on this? If not, then I would say that I would make a motion for the resolution to say that we're calling on DOT to enforce the regulations with respect to the sidewalk enclosures for the open streets, open restaurant program, so that they all have the requisite clearance, you know, size, etc. I see a thumbs up from Judy. Great. Okay. Any other? Oh,
yeah, Abraham. I think we've got to also put in there that the grandfather, you know, there's nothing that can be done with the grandfather. And they've got a list of all the grandfathered enclosed structures. So, you know, they can't be removed, but any new structure that's been put up in the past 2, 3, 4 years has to come down.
okay, great. I'm going to go out of turn here. I see Kathleen raising her hand. Can Kathleen Steed?
I'm trying. All right. As I guess I'm the only citizen here, but as a older disabled person, these shabby structures that are often very little space in between the waiters and their food and the carts and everything else. There's very little space for somebody who has balance issues to walk through this. They're awful. I wish I don't know what was happening, but I'm glad you're doing something as a community board, and hopefully that I won't have to stumble around or be anxious every time I run into one of these places. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Boaz, how are you?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes. Hi, how are you?
Good, good. How are you?
Good, good. Thank you.
Just for the protocol, I want to say I support the open restaurant. Now, I'm against any restriction on the restaurants. I believe that the community should partner up with the restaurants. So I feel the pain of Kathleen about some of the restaurant blocking the sidewalks. I have 10 months old baby, so I feel the same pain with their stroller, but I'm against any enforcement. What I would like to see is the community need to bring those restaurants owner to the community. Let's have discussion. Let's partner up. We are community. I don't think that we need to start sending them rules, enforcement, the police, and so on. The restaurants are part of the community. Thank you. Thank you very much, and continue doing the good job you guys are doing. Thank you.
Thank you for your input, Boaz. Thank you. Kaz.
You know, let's be specific. We're not putting restrictions on the restaurants. We're saying go back to what it was. You can have what is on the sidewalk. That's not the issue. The issue is the permanent structures doing the obstruction to the people and to us. I can't walk down some streets without going onto the bike path and getting run over. There is no restriction for restaurants to put tables, chairs on the sidewalk and then removing them at night and leaving the 8-foot clearance. We're not against the restaurants. We're against the illegal structure of the restaurants, not the restaurants themselves. So let's be specific.
Okay. I'm happy to include that in the preambles. Mrs. Brown and then Valerie.
Paz, thank you very much for your comments. And I wanted to respond to Ms. Steed as a 90-year-old disabled person that uses a walker. I have difficulty every day navigating going up and down some streets because of these sheds that are on the sidewalk. And it's important that we return things pre-pandemic to the way they were so that I can enjoy our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Valerie?
Thanks. I mean, just a point of clarification, I believe the rule that Kaz is talking about was a zoning text amendment that was offered up like at the end of 2019 by the City Planning Commission in terms of not permitting the restaurants to have these structures on the sidewalk. And they were, there was always a picture of the one that was outside of Green Kitchen on 77th and First Avenue, as that was the last of the structures to be grandfathered in. And then everybody ran during COVID to build these extensions of their restaurants onto the sidewalk. So I hear what Boaz is saying, but in actuality, this rule was put forth very recently as something that could no longer be done. And then all of a sudden, there was like a free-for-all, and everybody was just building out these permanent structures, whether they were building out the permanent ones in the roadbed or the permanent ones on the sidewalk. So I don't think that this is like just flouting the law and taking advantage of the fact that nobody was around to enforce it to begin with. And it's a relatively new regulation. Am I wrong about that? Abraham, or maybe Marco?
You are not wrong, and I will go to Marco.
Thank you, Valerie. I think you're absolutely right. The first thing is we had to bring back to a pre-pandemic period. They used to operate very well. They used to make very good profits. Yes, and that's it. And from there, yes, we can accommodate on the sidewalk some business. Those structures that is on the road, they are poorly built, and I don't understand why we start approving that if hurricane if a one that we're supposed to have according with FEMA, all these material will be flying and killing, injuring or damage buildings in the community, in the entire city, and we are becoming an anti-resilient city. So we have to be very careful in our decision. Personally, myself, I think it's time to bring back to the original conditions, and then we can open discussion in the zoning to include some exterior sidewalk cafes. Yes, it's fine. There's nothing wrong, but it has to apply that. We have to be protected with everybody. No, those people that are healthy and those people that have some problems of walking. So everybody, the city should be for everybody, not for a group of business persons that just wanted to profit. Because what they did is they doubled the number of seats outside, and that is wrong. So, and enclosed also, it breaks all the principles of COVID. So I don't understand exactly what's going on. I think that right now there is a group that put a lawsuit against the city, explained it that this is wrong to have this structure. We had to come back, and nobody's against business, by the way. It had to be very clear. Nobody is against business. We support business in this community. We love the business because we are partners. Yes, we are partners. They provide service to us and they make money from us, which is a good partnership, and that's nothing wrong. So my situation in this case is better to write down something that say, oh, Let's go bring back to the originals, and then we can discuss whatever we need to do that. We are always open to have any opinions and to improve the quality of life in our neighborhood. Keep in mind, I don't know these open restaurants, how they operate with all the cars, all carbon monoxide on the streets flying on the plates. I don't know how people eat. Well, I respect that they love to do that. Yeah, the alfresco is basically have a meaning, really alfresco, but in this kind of condition, in this city, that the cars are flying with the carbon monoxide distributed to everybody and the plates and everything, I think is wrong. But if those people want to jeopardize their lives, it's fine. There's nothing wrong. But let's go organize. Let's go bring. I think COVID is over. I don't think that everybody's making trouble in that direction. And I think let's go move in that direction. And thank you.
Thank you, Marco. Okay, so then with that, sounds like we're aligned. Is anyone opposed to drafting up something to that effect? And I will circulate. Okay, great.
Abraham, does this conflict with the resolution that the board voted on and in support of on September 26, 2021, in support of the open restaurants zoning text amendment?
Yeah, that could be the issue.
I mean, you as a committee, you cannot override a full board vote.
Correct. I don't think the intent here is to conflict with what you just sent. I think it's just to request that proper enforcement is adhered to. So we're not proposing any new laws, anything contrary to the agreement in terms of the text amendment.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure. A lot of go back to pre-pandemic was discussed, and the board has voted in favor of open restaurant program.
Correct. I will make sure to reference that to clarify that there is no conflict and no intention to run contrary to that.
Okay. Thank you, Abram. I'm sorry not to
no
overstep.
I appreciate that, and that's very welcome. So great. Okay, so I think that concludes that discussion. I see two more hands. I see Kaz and Marco hopefully making a motion to something or not. Either way. Kaz, I have you first and then Marco.
Yeah, well, the open restaurant was the text amendment, and as produced, it had tables and chairs on the sidewalk with umbrellas. So we're not going against the open restaurants.
Technically speaking, the open restaurant zoning text amendment did not set out any rules for how the configuration of the space would be used. No, it didn't. It revoked the previous program for sidewalk dining. It allowed roadbed dining and changed the former, and what you were talking about was the enclosed sidewalk cafe program. It technically grandfathered everything that was previously built.
Yes.
And that was, I think that's what you're conflating. It then established a sidewalk and roadway dining program that was zone, like, because if you recall, the last meeting we all held in person prior to COVID was talking about where sidewalk cafes could or could not be. This liberalized the locations for where sidewalk cafes could be. Instead of being in a very restrictive zone, now it's a very liberal zone according to this text amendment. And then was going to be referred to a rulemaking process that the DOT and the city council would go through to establish what the seasonality of the program would be, what the outline of the structure would be, what the payment structure would be. All of that was to be done by the DOT and the city council following the zoning change that we voted for.
Correct. And the DOT in their presentation and publication to everybody was the sidewalk, no structures on the sidewalk, tables and chairs with umbrellas, and even tables and chairs with umbrellas no permanent roof structures on the street. That was the DOT presentation that was presented to everybody. So these structures have evolved illegally, and I'm not concerned about the street ones. They can fight that out with the cars and the traffic and everything else, but the sidewalks structures should come down, and it's not contravening anything.
Yeah, and I can refer to, so DOT, like they're kind of, even though it's under the temporary still, because they haven't come up with the new program. In their temporary guidelines, they do set forth the parameters, the 8-foot clearance path, all those.
Right.
So that's really what we're referencing, that we want those to be adhered to so that there isn't any, and if and when they do ever come up with a full approved plan with the city council, et cetera, great, they can adhere to those rules. But for now, we want enforcement on what is set forth now.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. Marco.
Thank you. Thank you, Will, for the input that you said about the position of the full board. We cannot contradict. However, it made me think a little bit. The committee of budget committee would go against of the decision of the zoning that we approve the 210. So I don't understand that rule. It sometimes apply in one committee, sometimes doesn't apply in another committee. I'm not questioning to you because it's not up to you. Just as this is a matter of, I'm thinking a little bit louder and try to see what's going on right here. So in one way, you're right, by the way, Will, we cannot contradict absolutely anything, whatever position is the full board. However, in the 210, the budget committee, they came out and they stopped the money, which basically that's contradicted the system at all. So, I mean,
I think it would be as if the housing committee voted for a resolution asking for all buildings to be built at 400 feet tall. That's the contradiction. It's not because you can't draw a line of, is it $1? Is it $1,000? Is it $10,000? Is it $100,000 that is support of the resolution? I disagree with your premise there.
Well, the only thing is, once the position is that, the money, you cannot stop the money. And then they ask even for more technical information, those people that they don't have, with all respect, and they don't have no idea. Because I think
this is the wrong forum for this conversation.
Yeah, but I'm trying to, to make an analogy between these two scenarios only. And I'm not questioning to you because you are not the person who is doing anything wrong. You just bring the topic, and I think I will appreciate that input. But I'm just thinking that why it's happening, especially the chairs of the committee of budget, and as I know very well him. So I asked him for something that is not relevant in his case. In this matter, at least they try to do something better. And I think personally, myself, I feel that the full board or the community board, it should always have the same standards and the same directions. And this is an opinion. I know and please forgive me, is nothing against you, Will. And thank you for your opinion always. And thank you so much.
Thanks, Marco. Judy, and then Mrs. Brown.
Abraham, did I hear you say that if a restaurant builds an enclosed structure up to its restaurant on the sidewalk, that there has to be at least a 5-foot clearance?
No. 8 foot. Anything on the outside on the sidewalk has to have 8-foot clearance to the edge.
An 8-foot clearance. I'm going next week when I do my walk, I'm taking my tape measure because we have a place on 2nd Avenue that built onto the front of the restaurant and they're way out on the sidewalk. I'll be surprised if they have even 5 feet.
Right. And then the other topic that causes Valerie were highlighting were that these constructions are also unlawful because they're not under the grandfathered program of enclosed sidewalk cafes. They're new. So they're they're in violation for that piece in addition to not having the clearance.
So if that's the case, if there isn't the clearance, should I be reporting to you and Will at the board, and then you'll report it to somebody?
You can, yes?
If it turns out there's 5 feet or less, that you will report it to somebody, what do I do with that information?
Start with a call to 311. Take down the address and the name of the location, the establishment. So Will's Taco Stand at 505 Park Avenue, and send that to me with your 311 number. I send it to Robert. We will follow up with the DOT to make sure there's an inspection. So the problem gets into basically that lawsuit that you were talking about earlier, that put on hold the permanent open restaurants program. Right now, we're still in a COVID emergency version of the outdoor dining program. And the city has made the decision that they're not finding businesses during this program. I think they all thought this would be wrapped up and closed, and they would be start doing enforcement by now. But I don't want to speak for the DOT or the mayor. So basically, you can give us those locations, and we will make sure DOT goes out and inspects, and then they will issue recommendations to the restaurant. If the restaurant doesn't want to follow those recommendations, they will issue a cease and desist letter to the restaurant, and then follow up from there. But they will not remove the structure, and they will not fine the business, is my understanding. That may have changed as the days have gone on with this temporary program. But we will make sure that DOT inspects, and that at least there's communication and receipts of complaint from the city to the restaurant. And so whenever maybe we get that permanent program, there will be some sort of receipt system that says that the Street Life Committee can look at, that says you guys received a cease and desist letter from the DOT during the COVID, and you never followed up on that cease and desist, and maybe we need to consider that as we consider your outdoor dining setup.
Thank you, Will.
Thank you.
Okay, Kathleen, I see you have your hand up, so I'll go to you, and then I'll go to Mrs. Brown afterwards.
Yes, I think you've just answered my question. I was wondering who enforces these rules, how often they're inspected, or is this something like the bicycle rules where it seems there's nobody out there enforcing it? How does what you just said are a whole series of things that don't sound very optimistic for getting the space back for the people.
Yeah, so, as we'll set out. Yeah, go ahead, Will.
Yeah. No, there are a small team of DOT inspectors who go out and visit these sites, and it's just like a pothole is just like a loose manhole cover. They need that 311 complaint to know where to go. They're never going to just walk up and down 2nd Avenue and do inspections. It is a complaint-driven inspection program. So if you see something, say something. Okay, that's what I would say.
Thank you.
Great. Mrs. Brown?
I want to thank everybody for this robust discussion, and all of your comments have value. And oh my goodness, just one moment, please. Let me cut this off. Keith, I have to call you back. I'm sorry. And I think it's important that as a community that we be safe. And I feel if we made a decision on something for our community in 2001 and circumstances changed in 2010, I think as a community, we should be able to be flexible and look at that and find a way to address it, to fix it without being in conflict with the previous resolution. Because I strongly believe when we know better, we do better. And oversight, monitoring, and enforcement is key to any community and anything being successful. And there has not been much oversight. There's not been much monitoring, and of course, lack of enforcement. So we need to figure out how we can do this as a community, and that our priorities, that everybody should be safe, everybody should be able to enjoy our community and navigate the streets and anything else in our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Brown. Great. Well, thank you everyone for, again, a robust conversation, and this is really great. If there's nothing else, Judy?
Move to adjourn.
Great. Yes, I'm seeing several seconds here. Okay. Unless anyone's opposed to adjourning, then everyone have a good evening. Thank you again, and I will see you next month and at the full board.